Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Venom The Last Dance 2024. This is a new film from Sony and Marvel, the conclusion to the Venom franchise, for now at least. I won't go too deep into any spoilers or any at all really. I think this film is getting a little bit of criticisms in the public, and I can definitely understand where that's coming from. Overall, before I get into any details, I enjoyed the film. I had a really good time. Um, if you've seen my other video about my movie going experience, you'll know that there was a bit of an issue while I was actually watching the film. But yeah, overall, I had a good time. I think this is a very well deserved end to this franchise for now. But yeah, let's get into it. So Venom is rated PG-13 with a runtime of an hour and 49 minutes. As of the recording of this video, we have a Rotten Tomato score of 37% from the critics. I don't have an audience score available. I didn't go back and look it up, but I think it went. Last time I checked, it was around 77% or so, and a letterbox average rating of 2.7. In this film, Eddie and Venom are on the run, hunted by both of the worlds, and with the net closing in, the duo are forced into a devastating decision that will bring the curtains down on Venom and Eddie's last dance. This movie stars Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, Juno Temple as Dr. Payne, Stephen Graham reprises his role as Detective Mulligan, Chiwetel Ejiofor is Rex Strickland. We also have Reese Ifans in a role here. I won't really talk about his role. And then, of course, we have, as you probably saw in the trailers, I won't reveal who is portraying Noel because I think that's also kind of a fun mystery all throughout. So let's. The way I broke up my notes for this is, what does Venom get right? What does this movie get right? And then what were some of my issues? So I'm just gonna go back and forth. So that way it's more like a little bit of a compliment sandwich, right? I did mention that I left this movie uh, pretty positive. I think if you're looking for a star rating, I would probably put it around 3 stars, 3.5 maybe. Uh, I feel like I like this more than Venom Let There Be Carnage. Probably liked it as much as the first one, so I think it's pretty solid ground, pretty good company. Now, granted, I really was bought in on this franchise, so I can definitely understand why people are not enjoying this film. But let's talk about it. What did this movie get right? First of all, the relationship between Venom, the symbiote, and Eddie continues to be like the main pillar of this franchise, and I love that. You can just kind of see how this movie closes out their arc, their friendship, their relationship, in a very beautiful way. So I really like that. Really enjoy that as part of the film. One of my issues with this movie, the story, it is very convoluted for no reason. It really felt to me that for the first 45 minutes or so in this film, we were watching two completely separate different movies that eventually had to collide, and that just feels a little bit unnatural, right? uh, the movie tries to make you care very quickly about some very specific characters, including Juno Temple's character. So all right, another thing that Venom got right: laughs a plenty. Just, I was, the theater I was in, like, we were having a good time. I was laughing. I was having a good time. There's a lot of really fun jokes. A lot of it does stem from just Tom Hardy and Venom's relationship. There's a very, there's just like these little things that they do to put in there to bring a little bit of levity in between all this, rated R Carnage nonsense. Not Carnage the character, just like this is kind of a Venom movie. So, all right. Another thing that this movie I had an issue with is just taking the focus away from the conflict of this incoming doom of Null and Venom. Like, anytime we were with those characters, with that conflict, with that part of the storyline, I was fully bought in. But there were some stuff that just felt a little bit superfluous to me. Some of the bits in the story that I'm like, it's almost like in the Godzilla movies when we do stuff with the humans. Like, I don't really much care about that. I came here to see a Venom film. Um, all right, another thing that this movie does right, The third act sequencing, I really, really had a good time with that. It just really kind of leads up to this great grand finale, the last dance, if you will. And it's really fun. It really works for me. There's a really cool action sequence, big blowout. You get to see a lot of really cool stuff, especially if you're a fan of the comics. So, okay. Another issue I had with this movie was it hides a reveal that never happens, and it feels like it's a reveal that I probably know what it is, but I don't know the motivations behind it. Like it to me, it felt like this was a reshoot to try to keep some of this universe going forward, even if we don't get to see Venom, Tom Hardy's Venom anymore, right? Even if we get something else. So I thought that was a weird move. Really, really took me out of the movie every time that was happening because I recognized what was happening and I knew exactly that this was a big studio note. Like, we need this scene here, we need this scene here, and I don't like that because it interrupts the artistic vision that we're putting forth. All right. Another thing that I really loved or that Venom got right for me is finding the heart of this franchise, which is that relationship between Eddie and Venom. So that kind of goes back to the first point. Also, the look of all the symbiotes, fantastic. Any symbiote that shows up, whether it's Venom, like his looks been really well upgraded and maintained. It looks very natural, very fleshy. From the trailers that he gets to jump into a bunch of different animals. That looks super cool. So yeah, I really really like that. And then you may or may not know, like a lot of the CGI creatures, they look pretty cool, including the xenophage, which is like um, those symbiote hunters that we see in the trailer, right? All right. The last thing that I think was an issue for me with Venom 3 is that, once again, going back to the studio interference, they're trying to keep this Venomverse alive somehow. And that's where all those extra scenes come in, all that interference, all the stuff that just feels superfluous and not needed. You could have left that for like a little end credit scene or even for the next movie, whatever. Like, nobody is going into these films expecting that they're about to relaunch a franchise, like other than probably the executives at Sony. So yeah. Now, the last thing I'll say that Venom, the last thing gets right, is no. As a big fan of the comics, like the Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman, Venom run is my all-time favorite run, and that's where Null was introduced. He sounds cool. He looks cool. They use him sparsely and they use him as a big looming threat. And I would definitely want to see more as a fan. So even though I just said all those other things about keeping the Venomverse alive and how adverse I am to shoving that into this movie, now that they have done it, at least pick the best thing that you shoved in this movie and use that going forward. So, but yeah, great performances. Tom Hardy almost feels like he was born to kind of play this role of Eddie Brock. He has the physical presence, he has the humor, he has also a great way that he's kind of captured this voice to he voices Venom as well, right? So that having those scenes where you're kind of talking to yourself, it's got to be very difficult. So, but yeah, I like this. I think Juno Temple was fine in this movie. Chiwetel Ejiofor as well. Like, they just kind of they do what they're there for. Like, they really work when they work with the story as opposed to working against or for some other purpose. They really work. So, uh, but that's pretty much it. That's my review of Venom 3. Like I said, we'll put this at around 3.5 stars, 65 or so on a scale, maybe 70%. But yeah, if you have seen Venom The Last Dance, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. And as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Bye bye.